Hello, welcome to Smash Hit Sports. I'm your host, Cody, and today Nick and I are going to be giving our predictions for the ACC. We're also going to include Notre Dame because selfishly I want to talk about my Irish.
They're an ACC team.
No, not part of the conference. Although we were ACC regular champions the only season we were ever in it. So that was 100%.
What year was that?
COVID year, bro, 2020.
What? Oh, that's when Trevor got COVID.
Yeah, that was when Trevor got COVID. Didn't able to play. We played DJ. But...
Yeah, and we still should have won. I needed Clemson to win that game to hit like a 10-leg, like $2,000 parlay from like five. Like $5 to win, yeah, $2,000. And I was in college, so yeah, that money would have been great. And yeah, they lost, and I was so upset. Oh yeah. Man, so I hate Notre Dame forever for that.
Thoughts and praise, and you're trying.
And I hate DJU forever for that.
Ooh, and we'll have to talk about him. Let's start with. So I just did these kind of in alphabetical order. So we'll start with Boston College first. Their win total is 5.5. They have lost Phil Jerkovich. He transferred to Pitt, which he was up and down for them quite a bit last year.
Their best player got drafted.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on Boston College?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're garbage. I think they're going to go 3-9. I guess Virginia Tech's the bottom barrel of the ACC this year, from the research I've done. But Boston College is right next to them, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I have them in the same ballpark. I have them at 3 wins. Or 2 wins. I have them at 2-10. I think they go 2-0. I think they beat NIU and Holy Cross. I have them losing to. They're losing to Army. I have them losing to UConn. I have them losing to Virginia Tech. So that, which may be our one game where we have a little difference here, but I
honestly think I have VT beating Boston College as part of their 2 wins.
Yeah, I'm gonna be very honest. There is a pretty decent chance that I do not watch a single Boston College football game this year.
No, I don't even know if they play Clemson.
They don't.
Yeah, okay, then I won't.
They don't. Yep. So, all right, good Boston College preview. They will not all be that short.
Boston College fans out there that are listening in. So sorry about this little segment, but.
Yeah, say one nice thing about Boston College. Their red bandana jerseys are incredibly
challenge
sick.
Impossible. Yeah, they do have those awesome jerseys, and I love the cause, and I love the history behind it. So,
very cool. One of the best alternates in the sport. But let's talk about a real team. Let's talk about a team that I'm sure we're gonna have mixed emotions on because your bias is just oozing from your pores.
Yeah, you can see it.
The Clemson Tigers. Their win total is at 10 games, which I'm gonna be honest, I was a little shocked by that. I thought it would be higher. They play a pretty difficult schedule this year. They play at South Carolina. They play Notre Dame, but they get Notre Dame at home. They play at NC State, and they play Florida State. I think are the biggest games on their schedule. They open the season with Duke at Duke, which would be a pretty fun game.
Miami's a bigger game than NC State, in my opinion.
Really?
But I mean, NC State's a rival, but I'm not scared of NC State. I think Miami could start out hot. They had, top 7 recruiting class or whatever, top 15 transfer. They have talent. NC State, no more Devin Leary. They were shit after Devin Leary got hurt. And we still beat them with DJU. So
that's fair. So Cade Klubnik is the guy. And is it Klubnik or Klubnik?
It's Klubnik. I was gonna just let you keep going, TBH, but
nothing sound like a dumbass on your own college football.
On your college football, he's a new guy. It's fine. Can you pronounce
but the problem is
DJU's last name?
He played fair, but he played. Towards the end of last season, he had some ups and downs. Do you feel more confident about Klubnik going into this year than you did about DJU going into the last year?
Oh my God. Going into last year, I was so on the I hate DJ wave. I have receipts. I watched film. Like, I was trying to make sure that I was right or give myself hope. But I was like, oh, so DJ just can't make a read, right? Like, he can't make a second read. He literally hasn't done it at all in 2021. So going into 2022, I was like, this immobile lard is going to suck. So I wanted Cade Klubnik to start week 1 last year. But the thing is, I feel like with Cade, he had a younger aura about him than some of the 18-year-old true freshmen that come in. Like, your Trevor Lawrence comes in, and he has this, 27-year-old vibe to him. Like, he feels like a seasoned vet, but he's not. Klubnik, you could just tell that he's a young guy. I mean, when you were 18, when I was 18, like, I wasn't, close to being able to. Yeah, I was just a young guy. Like, just a lack of maturity and experience, I guess, just in life. So I think that giving him another year and then giving him Garrett Riley is going to do incredible things. Because even if we didn't give him Garrett Riley, I think that he'd take a massive step up, because now he's 19, going on 20, has a year under his belt, more comfortable, all that.
I'm glad you brought up Garrett Riley, because I thought, as far as offensive or non-head coaching hires go, I think that might have been the biggest one of the offseason. Clemson's offensive system last year was not great, right? Not great for a team that has national championship hopes. Right?
That is so annoying to watch, because it was just bubble screen focused. So, like, and again, we had a stupid quarterback who couldn't make a read. So, I guess Streeter was limited, but.
And Garrett Riley is going to stretch the field. He is going to put pressure on the defense at, multiple levels. Do you expect the offense to take a significant leap under Garrett Riley?
Yeah, massive. And I think it's going to happen immediately. And again, maybe I have this like lens on where I'm just hopeful that's possible. But I think a lot of people have this lens on where they want Clemson to fail, because they've had a lot of success. And it's like the same. They've gotten to like the Alabama level where people are like, oh, Alabama might suck. Well, then they're going to suck, right? Like me this year.
Yeah.
And I just think, it's the whole idea of like Klubnik can run. Like, what did Riley do with Max Duggan? He had him be a 3-threat quarterback, right? Like, he is doing RPOs, he's doing designed runs, he can throw it long, do anything. So I think Klubnik's absolutely, and I think Vegas thinks that as well. They have him 5th in Heisman voting,
Yep. Yeah. I would not be shocked if Klubnik is towards the end of the year in that Heisman conversation. That being said, I want to hear from you first. What's your prediction for Clemson's record?
Yeah. Listen, I think that everyone says like, oh, Clemson's defense is going to be good again, which is absolutely true. But I think people are like, oh, Jeremiah Trotter, he's great, right?
Yes.
And like Makumba, and then they have like some D-line guys like Rook, who's coming back.
Their front seven is always
good. Peter Woods is going to be like one of the best freshmen. But like, there are guys like Nate Wiggins and Barrett Carter who aren't getting love. Like, I probably said last year a couple times that Barrett Carter is the best player on our roster. And I'm shocked that like people still don't know Barrett Carter. He is so good. Like, having watched every game and watching our defense play, I think he's better than Trotter. But like, I think both of them are amazing. I just think that we're stacked, barring injuries. Secondary should be a lot better. And our defensive coordinator is coming off of his rookie year being a defensive coordinator. So one more year in the belt for him. He's kind of like had some growing pains against Tennessee in the bowl game. There were a lot of blown coverages that were just like unacceptable. So I'm expecting just everything to get better. Just because we've had to deal with a lot of inconsistency these past 2 years, but we're a big brand now. It's unacceptable. So I expect to get better. I think Clemson's going 12-1. The loss, I honestly think, is going to be fluky. Still kind of got a young team. And again, Cade is still He's going to be like 19, right? So I think we might just get a fluky loss where we don't go into the game thinking that it matters as much as it does. Because the big games, again, like Florida State's talking all this shit. Clemson thrives when they're getting disrespected. That little old Clemson, right? So Florida State saying we're the best team in the ACC. It's like, no, you've been shit for a while, right? Clemson, we were up 34-14 in Tallahassee last year in the fourth quarter, right? And we had DJU and Brandon Streeter and like the whole mosh posh team, and we still like that game was close in score, but not close at all. So I'm not scared of Florida State, and I think that the fact that Florida State's saying this shit, Clemson's going to go in and win. Notre Dame, same thing. Y'all just decapitated us last year. And I feel like that's just, we're going to go in and be like, that can't happen again. You know what I mean? And we're at home this time. South Carolina, we lost to at home. You have to deal with a year of hearing about that from everyone in the state. There's no way you can let that happen again. So it's just these big games are games that like are going to be the biggest games of almost like the decade as far as like just you can't lose 2 straight to South Carolina. You just can't do it, right? Or else it's their state again. So that's why I'm like, I think we're going to go all out in these games and win, and maybe lose to like a Miami or a UNC where we're just not thinking.
That's fair. Sorry,
I just rambled on, but I have a lot of thoughts about Clemson. So you're
good.
Yeah, let me know what you think.
So I agree with a lot of what you're saying. The thing is that they don't have like the games where they got caught sleeping last year. Like you're not gonna sleep against Florida State. That game is going to be probably for the regular season conference title. You're not going to sleep against Notre Dame because Notre Dame beat your ass last year in South Bend. You now get them at home. And you're not going to sleep against South Carolina because Spencer Rattler and what they did last year. So I don't like complacency is very easy to get to in college football. And I don't think Clemson is going to be complacent because now they're going to have to fight a little bit. The ACC it's been kind of a joke the last 2 years. And like Clemson had, their losses to Notre Dame and South Carolina, like on pay, like weren't bad. Like they were ugly just because of the final score, but like a 2-loss team is not like most teams would kill to go 10-2, but not Clemson, right?
Yeah.
So that's your like Clemson should be good. They expect to be good, and now they're going to come out with a chip on their shoulder. They're going to be pissed off. I have them going 11-1. I have them losing to Florida State. I did not predict in my schedule predictions the conference title, but if we get to see Clemson and Florida State play on a Saturday or in early October, I think it's first weekend of October.
We play September. It's like the 24th, I think.
Okay, so like end of September, and then you get to see that game again towards the end of the season.
Yeah,
it's going to be electric. But yeah, I have Clemson going 11-1. I think, and I would be surprised. Fine, I'll call it. I'll call my shot. I think Clemson wins the ACC. I think they get back into the college football playoff.
Yeah, I mean, if you do have Clemson losing to FSU in September, it makes sense to assume that they would.
It's really hard to beat a team twice,
right? Yeah, especially when that chip was already kind of on your shoulder going in. Now it's just like mega on your shoulder. Because I'm like definitely iffy on whether or not, because I have Clemson, Florida State in the ACC championship game, but I have Clemson beating Florida State in September. So it's like I would be much more scared in that championship game. And I just as a Clemson alum, of course I'm going to pick them to win that. And go 12-1 and have a really good resume at the end of the year. We'll have to see how the other conferences pan out, but yeah, I have Clemson having a real good resume, like a real good CFP chance.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, when I was kind of picking this, it's if I trust Dabo to be a great head coach like he has been over the last decade. I think Mike Norvell has done a hell of a job. I think he is the right guy for Florida State. But Dabo's been there. He's done that. I trust Dabo more. So give me 11-1 there. Let's move on to Duke, the Blue Devils. Mike Elko does not get enough credit for what, because Duke it's a basketball school. We don't care about a football program. It's a basketball school. Duke is a solid team.
Yeah.
Like they play well. Mike Elko has that, like, they're disciplined, they're well coached, they're really good on special teams. They got a pretty tough draw this year as far as who they're playing. They're opening the season with Clemson. They also play Florida State and North Carolina, and Notre Dame. They got a pretty tough draw. What do you think on this Duke team as far as, can they be a threat in the ACC, or at least, make noise?
I mean, they're definitely my sleeper team in the ACC. As far as being realistic and trying to actually nail a prediction, I have them going 7-5. But that's with like a fluky loss to like a UConn or something, right? And just losing to all four teams that you just named. But I think it is very possible that they just demolish UConn, and then win a game against either Clemson, Notre Dame, FSU, or UNC.
Yeah,
you have four chances against the top dogs. UNC, not really a top dog, but like, you know what I mean?
Teams with expectations.
Yeah, four chances to beat one of them, and you have a good squad with a good coach and a good energy about your team. It's kind of crazy to say they're going to lose all of those chances. It's just, what one are they going to beat? Like, it feels too wild to say Duke's going to beat Clemson week one. That's just not, no way, right? Duke beating Notre Dame just feels wild right now. But could it happen? I think maybe. So they're my sleeper, but I have them going 7-5.
Yeah, I also have them going 7-5. Their win total is 6.5. I would probably lean. I think they have a better chance of winning 8 games than they have of winning 6. I have them, because their schedule also plays out kind of well, where they play Notre Dame and then they have their bye week and then they play NC State. Like, if they could win that game, it's at home. Like, I could see a season where we're sitting here and we're like, Duke has 8 wins. Like, I don't think that's
that happens every now and then. Whenever people like just aren't looking at them, they'll just be like 8-4, and you're like, wow, they're playing in like the Alamo Bowl against like ranked Texas A&M. How did that happen? Yeah.
So it'll be exciting. I was thinking about going to that Notre Dame Duke game, but we'll see.
That'd probably be a cheaper option compared to some.
Yeah, well, because I looked at that and then I looked at Notre Dame Clemson. I was just like, holy fuck, these tickets are so much more expensive.
There's no shot I'm going. I want to, but can't.
Yeah, I also want to go to Death Valley, but we need a
that would be cool to link up there, though. You know what I mean?
Would be dope.
That would be cool.
Would be dope. Live episode
collab, yo. Get the fans out there.
We need to get Tick Pick, Game Time. What are the SeatGeek? You trying to
Fanatics, whatever it is.
Let's get some tickets.
Like, hey, how you doing?
Hey yo. Next, let's talk with the other big dog in the ACC. Florida State is Mike Norvell's done a hell of a job. They have some absolute fiends on the defensive line. Jared Versey, however you pronounce his last name, he is a weapon.
Yeah, Verse. He might be the best player in the ACC as a whole. I think he is. He's so freaking good.
He's a premium player at a premium position, man. Like, getting to the pass rusher is so important in college football, and they have one of the best. Their running back is good. He was, I think, just shy of 1,000 yards last year.
Who, Trey Benson?
Benson, but the other guy transferred to Kansas State.
Trey Benson's overrated. I think he's a bit slower. He kind of reminds me of Will Shipley, I guess, a little, but he's just like a less agile, slower. He's probably the same speed as Shipley, but I don't think he has breakaway speed. So he doesn't electrify me.
That's fair. They also did get one of the bigger acquisitions in the transfer portal in Keon Coleman, the wide receiver from Michigan State.
Yeah, he's good.
I think that's really going to help Jordan Travis, giving them another weapon because it's their wide receivers were, I think, surprisingly good last year, but they weren't like elite. I think having Coleman on the outside now helps that tremendously. They got a tight end who's a pretty damn good player. I think Florida State's going to be really fucking good.
Yeah,
I
so
think they're going to be really.
I mean, they
good.
have because they even got that corner from UVA.
Yep.
Shore up the secondary because their secondary wasn't great. It was fine, but I think it's going to be good.
They were also banged up last year too, which is tough.
Banged
they
up,
just didn't have any depth.
I look at their defense and I'm like, okay, it's scary. Like it looks like a good defense, and of course they have like two great receivers. They have a pretty good tight end in Bell. Right. And I'm not saying that Trey Benson's a bad running back. I just think some people are saying he's amazing. I don't know. But Travis, really good QB. Like, I feel like where are their holes? They shored up their O-line. They, barring injury, have the roster to compete. And I think they will compete in a weak ACC. The ACC's not back quite yet. I do have them losing to Clemson. I think they'll drop one fluky one. I think they beat LSU.
Ooh.
Yep, I do. I think LSU's a tad bit overrated, but I mean, we'll see. I think they win that game, lose to Clemson, and then I don't know, drop a game against like Pitt, something like how Clemson's going to drop.
Bro, Pitt's always a scary. We'll talk about him, but
Florida State goes to Pitt in the cold, right, and just plays bad one day. That I can see 100%. 10-2 for me, maybe 11-2, maybe 10-3, depending on the championship game.
Yep. So I have them going 11-1. I have them losing to LSU week 1 and then rattling off 11 straight, which is tough for any team. But I think the nice thing about
that'd be cool because so you're saying 11-1 Clemson versus 11-1 Florida State in the ACC. So that if we get
and then
there,
your ACC championship winner gets into the playoff, loser goes home.
100%. That's like number 3 versus number 6 or number 5 by that point.
Yep.
That would be really cool.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. I think just because their schedule aligns really nicely too. Like they play LSU at the beginning of the year in a standalone Sunday night game, which will be kick ass. It was incredible.
Last year was amazing.
Yeah, it was incredible last year. And then they get Southern Miss and Boston College, essentially 2 cupcakes before they play Clemson. And I think Florida's dog shit. Florida is.
Yes, I do not have them winning 6 games. They're missing the bowl for me.
I have them missing a bowl as well. So we'll see. But I really, really like this Florida State team. I think they're going to be a fun ass team to watch. I think that if we end up with 11-1 and 11-1, like that would be a hell of a matchup for the ACC championship. So
we haven't had a good ACC championship matchup in a long time.
Yeah,
wonder when the last time
hopefully with no divisions like that, it should be better for the conference.
Right.
So next team on the list, Georgia Tech, stinks. I think
Georgia Tech does stink. Yes, that's right.
Because they got I think Brent Key's their head coach. I don't know enough about him to like really say anything that
I just know that their AD is not investing money in that team. So,
and that's a ton in college sports. People don't realize, like when you looked at, I don't know if you saw the graphic that came out. It was like the college athletic programs that made the most money.
Yeah.
And Ohio State made like $250 million. And like every team or every school on that list was like insanely like they put a ton of effort, energy, and resources into their athletic programs.
Right. Those are the teams that you think of when you think of college sports. You don't think of Georgia Tech. So
yeah, like even like Georgia Tech was good in the 90s, but like now I don't know. It's tough. I have them going 4-8. Their win total is 4.5. I mean, they played Georgia at the end of the year.
Yeah, sneaky one there. I feel like GT might get that one actually.
Yeah, I'm sure. So
Um,
I think they'll beat the teams they should, the South Carolina States and Boston College, and I have them winning against Virginia, but that's
yeah, I have them
pretty
five and
much it.
seven, beating Virginia.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean 5 and 7.
over the win total.
It is, but it's still I feel like that's standard Georgia Tech. It's just
Yeah.
what they do. They'll maybe have one game this year where it'll be like, hey, wait a second, they don't look all that bad, or pull off some impressive win, but probably not. So 5 and 7, maybe 4 and 8, doesn't matter.
Yep. Let's talk about the Cardinals. Louisville's win total is 8. They obviously brought in Jeff Brom, which is an improvement over Scott Satterfield, in my opinion. I think that'll be good for the program. However, they did lose their quarterback to the draft. So there is going to be a little bit of roster turnover. What are your thoughts on Louisville? They got a pretty tough schedule. They do play Notre Dame at home, which certainly helps. But actually, no, I lied. Their schedule's easy as shit. Their schedule is so easy. I tweeted this out, and it got a couple eyeballs on it. But their schedule is, they are one of 5 teams that at some point were favored to win every game on their schedule. That is no longer the case. They are now favored to lose against Notre Dame at home. They're not projected to lose against Notre Dame at home, but Louisville has an unbelievably easy schedule. They don't play any of the top teams in the ACC outside of Miami, I guess. But what are your thoughts on the Cardinals this year?
Yeah, I mean, like I said last episode, I'm not huge on their new hire. I feel like I just feel like Louisville is not there yet, and people are like, oh, they're back. And like you're saying, they have an easy schedule, but like they're probably the same talent level, in my opinion, as a lot of the teams they play. So like I have them dropping Notre Dame, Duke, Miami, and then maybe Louisville's the team that Georgia Tech kind of like plays well against, and they lose, or maybe they lose to Indiana. Like that'd be kind of wild, but they could. So I'm thinking 8-4, 7-5. I definitely don't think 9.
I have them at 6-6.
Yeah.
This is one of the more confident bets that I have, and it's just a lot of things are aligning here. It is losing games that you're not supposed to, but also at the like. And I understand that everybody wants to point at having a good schedule, but you have a new head coach, a new quarterback, new system. Like it's a new offense, it's a new defense. Everything about this is new.
Yeah, I feel like people just want Louisville to be good this year for some reason.
Yes, they also their after their bye week is fucking. It's not like no joke, but they play NC State, Notre Dame, Pitt in 3 straight weeks. Like that's not easy. They get their bye and then they play Duke. And like that's a stretch of games where like if they win one of those, 2 of those, like that'd be pretty solid, but that's going to be tough. And then you end the year at Miami and then Kentucky at home, and you're not beating Kentucky. They don't have the front 7 defensively, and they don't have the offensive line to compete with an SEC school. Not right now, especially with Devin Leary at Kentucky.
Right. This is probably, I guess that's where we differ, because I just for almost the hell of it, just because shit is going to be so much different by the end of the year. And I don't think Kentucky's a good team. I don't think they have a very good roster. It's fine, but I think Louisville could definitely beat Kentucky. There would just have to be, like, if Louisville gets decimated by injury and Kentucky doesn't and stuff, obviously not. But if it's the other way around, give me Louisville. So, but yeah, I do have them 7-5. So the under.
Yeah. Let's move to Miami, which I'm going to call them the third wheel of the ACC this year. I think they are the team outside of Clemson and Florida State that they're just not. They're not quite there with Cristobal. Their win total is 7.5. How are you feeling about the U?
I have them 9-3, and I think they could definitely go 10-2 if they beat Texas A&M. But again, I do have them beating Clemson in my like actual prediction, right?
Yep.
So they drop one to Florida State, they drop one to UNC. But I just feel like they'll be so much more competitive. They have a top 10 recruiting class.
Yep.
They're returning a lot of their production. I think they're like 30th in returning production. Top 15 transfer portal incoming.
Yep.
And it's just like, I guess they kind of remind me of like the Butch Jones Tennessee teams. Or like what was that his name? Butch Jones?
Yeah.
Yeah. Stocky guy, great at recruiting,
Yep.
decent football mind, and was like always competitive in these games, but would kind of fall short in the big ones. And I just feel like that's going to be Miami for a little bit here.
Yeah.
The vibe I get.
I don't know if Cristobal's the guy yet.
Yeah, we'll have to
see. It's they got a new DC, which I think will help. Their defense wasn't great, and like Tyler Van Dyke was not good last year.
I feel like they just didn't care last year, you know?
Yeah, it's one of those. I think in a world of NIL, they were a little too focused on the wrong things.
Yeah, they just needed to like try. Like they tried a little at the beginning, and then just kind of shit hit the fan, and they just stopped trying. It's like if they put in effort, and their roster got a lot better, and it's just hard to imagine that they're that bad again. So.
Yeah, I have Texas A&M improving quite a bit, so I don't have them winning that game. But
do I. I think that's like a big game. Like I have Texas A&M. I think 9-3 as well. But Miami's going to be
Week 2 is a lot of good. Week 2 is a lot of good college football matchups. You get Texas A&M, Miami, Texas, and Alabama. There will be a lot of fun games week 2. But I have Miami going 8-4. I have them dropping the Texas A&M, North Carolina, and then I have Clemson winning. So that's the difference between you and I.
Right.
But I feel pretty good about Miami this year.
Yeah, I hope. I mean, I like when Miami's good and not embarrassing. Yeah. So
let's talk North Carolina. Drake May is going to be the talk of this team. It zeroed out in my mind that's going to be why people are paying attention. However, here's the thing with North Carolina. They lost Phil Longo, their offensive coordinator. He went with Luke Fickell over to Wisconsin. I think that makes a world of difference for this North Carolina offense. That being said, their schedule has a lot of ups, a lot of downs. Like they play Campbell in week 10. Why? Like, I make fun of the SEC for scheduling cupcakes, but they also play South Carolina week 1. So I have this team going 9-3. I think they drop South Carolina. I think Clemson beats them, and I think they lose to Pitt at Pitt before their bye week. But I like this North Carolina team. It's one of those, like, they're going to be fun. They're going to put up points. Their defense is dog shit. What the hell? Who's their defensive coordinator? He's ass. He gave me so many heart palpitations last year when I would bet on UNC. North Carolina.
Well, yeah. I mean, the App State game is a good example of just letting that team score 65 against you is crazy.
That is Gene Chizik. Gene Chizik
the old
should
Auburn
not have
guy.
a job. Yes. Why?
He's a champion. He has a trophy.
Oh, my fuck. Yeah.
Does Mac Brown even have a trophy?
Joe Flacco has a fucking Super Bowl win. That doesn't mean he's a good quarterback. What are we doing?
Excuse me. Joe Flacco is an elite quarterback.
Shut the... Oh, God. I forgot you're a Ravens fan.
You're a Bengals fan. Of course you'd say that. Yeah. He is an elite quarterback.
Anyway, fuck Gene Chizik. Fuck Gene Chizik.
Yeah,
this is an anti-Gene Chizik podcast.
Right, yeah. That we should call it that. That should be our podcast name. The fuck Gene Chizik. Yeah, anti-Gene pod. No, I like UNC. I have no idea what to think about their defense. I mean, May is a Heisman hopeful. If they can win 10 games, he'll probably go to New York. Which I think they could. They don't play FSU or Miami.
Right?
No,
they play Miami.
They do play Miami? Oh, yeah, that's
at
right.
home.
Naturally. But they don't play FSU, and I don't know. I guess I have them losing to like Clemson, NC State, and I think I have Pitt beating them and having them. They'll finish like ranked 25 and be 9-3. That feels pretty accurate.
That feels right.
Feels right.
Speaking of NC State, their win total is 6.5, a long drop of what it was last year. Look, I'm going to own my mistakes, okay? Not all of us are brilliant. I know I was talking about how I was reading books earlier. That doesn't mean I have a damn bit of knowledge in between this brain. I picked NC State to win the ACC last year. Plus 800. I was like, plus 800. Like, I got some value. I was wrong. I stink. I'm stupid. Devin Leary is now transferred to Kentucky. What are your thoughts on this NC State
he got
team?
hurt last year, like mid-season. And if he was healthy, I bet that team plays in a late bowl game. Like they were really good. So I don't judge you that much, but again, Clemson was free, so you did make a mistake. But yeah, I have NC State 6-6. And definitely not 7-5. So if the line's 6.5, I would take the under very confidently. I don't even think I went through and wrote down their schedule. I mean, I have them beating like Wake. I have them beating Louisville. Like couple big wins. I still think they're like a good program. But they just don't have the talent in my eyes. Like this is just going to be a down year for NC State.
Yep, I'm the same way. I have them 8-4 actually, but I still don't like. I think they'll win the games they're supposed to, and they'll lose to the big dogs. I think it's pretty. They're going to lose to Clemson and Miami and Notre Dame, and I think they'll beat teams like Virginia and Marshall and UConn. Like they'll beat the teams they should. They'll lose the teams they won't, and I think that kind of puts them in that 8-4, 7-5 type of range. But
yeah, I guess I have them losing to a couple of the non-big dogs, but
yeah, if those games are toss-ups, I mean,
exactly. And I just don't think NC State's got it this year. That's just how it is.
Yep. Let's move to Pitt. Pat Narduzzi's squad. They had Israel Abanikanda last year, running back. Their running game is like pretty damn good. They now have Phil Jerkovich as their quarterback, which we'll see how that goes. I don't know if do you know if he's going to end up being the starter? I would assume so.
I think he is. Just because, well, I just know that Pitt is like, they've had pretty shit classes.
Yep.
Both recruiting and transfer. Like they're just not getting talent, which is weird because I feel like they almost kind of made a name for themselves. I think they have an ACC championship in the past 3 years. And they just couldn't recruit from it, which doesn't happen often. They are also not returning any production, really. They're like 130th in the country.
Yep. A lot of new faces.
Yeah, a lot of new faces, and apparently the faces aren't all that good. So I just think that there has to be, since it was 2 years ago that they won the ACC, there has to be at least enough residual talent for them not to be a dumpster fire quite yet, right? They still have a good coach, and they're kind of like riding, like they've been a pretty decent team. They won the game against West Virginia last year, which was electric, right? Or did they lose that? I always forget, but.
Yeah, they won that game.
Yeah, they won, right? On the terrible drop
pick
pass.
6 by JT Daniels, and
but yeah, like I think they can go 7-5 or 6-6. I don't know what their win total is. I didn't look at any of that.
Yep, their win total 7. So,
yeah, okay. So what do I have them at? I have Pitt. I have them at 8-4 actually.
Wow.
Yeah, but I do think that like if we were to talk about not this year, but next year, I think Pitt might like really drop to like a 3-win team. But I think they have enough in the tank to like kind of give it a run and maybe get lucky. And I'm just taking a flyer, I guess.
Yeah, I have them going 7-5. I like that number at 7, so I'm not going to bet it either way. But I have them dropping like Wake Forest. I think they'll drop a game here or there. I also have them losing the backyard brawl to West Virginia. I think West Virginia stinks. I think West Virginia's entire season is that game. Like their entire season is the backyard brawl. They do not give a shit about anything else. So I think they'll win that game. Honestly. It's in West Virginia.
I didn't really
But
consider that, but that's very fair.
that is my
Yeah, they're going to care a lot. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think they go 7-5, decent year. Speaking of Virginia's, not West Virginia, but Virginia, obviously they had a really devastating season last year. Canceled the end of their season because of they had 3 players who were shot and killed. I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. I think Virginia is going to have a very bad year.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, Tony Elliott's their coach. He's the old Clemson OC, so shout out Tony Elliott. I have them going 4-8. I actually think with the Virginia teams, I didn't even look at their schedule. I just kind of was like, what does it feel like? Because I know both are going to be bad. Everything you see, read, hear is like they're the bottom barrel, them and BC. So I was like, all right, we'll go UVA 4, VT 2, because I think VT's worse. And like, yeah, I honestly have nothing else to add because I don't know their players. I couldn't name one player on either team.
The only player that I did know from Virginia was Brennan Armstrong, and he transferred to NC State. So
yeah, no, I couldn't. Like I know a couple of other guys on their teams that transferred out. Like I just don't know who's there. I don't. Maybe we'll be shocked, but I doubt it.
All right, so talking Virginia Tech, which Virginia Tech is, I'm going to be honest, they're in a really weird spot. I don't know how I feel about Brent Pry as the head coach. They currently have a win total, let me check here, at 5.5. And it's not great.
Which is high. That's high. Higher than I thought it would be.
So based on what you thought it would be, how do you expect Virginia Tech's season to go?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like VT's just fallen off the wagon, and there are no signs of them sort of doing their best to right the ship. Mm-hmm. So, just to me, it's going to keep crumbling until something happens, and this year is going to be as bad as it gets. So I have them going like 2-10. I think they're going to be bottom of the ACC. They have games against like Old Dominion. Some of these Virginia teams that I think they'll probably lose as they've done of late. And, maybe in 1 or 2 years they'll start to figure it out, hopefully, because they have one of the best like traditions in college football. I like when they get primetime slots.
Without a doubt.
Right. So it's like, I've met Frank Beamer, great guy. Those Tyrod Taylor teams I grew up on. It just all feels right in the world when VT's not garbage, but I guess they're just going to be garbage in my mind.
Yeah, they got a pretty schedule in terms of ACC. Their home games are fairly difficult. They play NC State at home. They play Syracuse at home. I don't have them win Pittsburgh at home. I don't have them winning a ton of these games, to be honest. They won 3 games last year. I don't see a marked improvement. They're going to have a quarterback battle going into camp between Kyron Drones and Grant Wells, a redshirt junior and a redshirt sophomore. Both have, not a ton of experience playing at the highest level. There's just nothing about this team that really instills a ton of confidence in me.
Yeah, I don't know either of those quarterbacks. That's the thing with Virginia Tech is I dive into every team before the season starts, but I didn't spend much time on VT because I would have heard something if we were expecting like a bowl season for VT. So that's why 5.5 is kind of crazy.
And 6 wins is a bowl. I have them under 5.5. I got them going 4-8. I just don't. There's nothing about this team that really excites me. So let's keep it moving with Wake Forest, which Wake Forest is going to see a dramatic change at the most important position in the sport in quarterback, going from Sam Hartman to, I'm going to be honest, I'm not 100% sure who their starting quarterback is going to be going into this season, but I can tell you right now,
I guess they've probably announced it. Yeah, he's not Sam Hartman.
But there's nothing about Wake Forest that really gets me going.
I know a while ago they hadn't announced it, so and I'm forgetting who the options were. But I think that Wake Forest is well coached and definitely becoming weirdly like a transfer hotspot commodity-wise.
Yep.
Honestly, more in basketball than football, but in both, which is just kind of it's never been that way, so it's interesting to me.
Yep.
I know some people in high school that went to Wake Forest to play football just because it was kind of like the bottom barrel of the ACC back then, so they were handing out scholarships to like the one-star recruits. No offense to those guys, but
hey, they must have been real smart, though. I mean, you got to be smart to get into Wake Forest, so.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even think that they were. But
just shitting on your high school. It's like, yeah, the talent we produce was ass.
I mean, no, it's just Wake Forest. Now they're starting to get some bigger name talent, I guess.
Yep.
And I do think they're going to have some residual talent without Sam Hartman, and I have them doing pretty well this year. What do you have?
I have them at 4-8. They just play an absolute gauntlet of a schedule. They play Vanderbilt at home, which, say what you will about Vanderbilt, like that is not an easy game. Like there's nothing about that game as a pushover. And then they play the toughest teams in the ACC based on what I have record prediction wise in Florida State, Clemson, Pitt, NC State, Duke, Syracuse. Like that is the top half of the entire ACC in my mind. Plus they play Notre Dame.
Right, they got Notre Dame.
At Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Like it's just brutal. It's a brutal schedule. I think they're a better team than 4-8. However, that's what I have them at because that's the games they play.
The way I see it is those are the 6 games that they're going to be dogs in. And I think they'll win one of them and go 7-5. I doubt it's Clemson, Florida State, or Notre Dame, but they could be NC State, Syracuse, or Duke, or maybe shock the world. They almost beat Clemson last year. It was a double overtime game.
Yeah.
Granted, yes, they had Sam Hartman, but it really they have enough talent and they have the coaching to, I think, compete against anyone. So I don't know. It's not like I'm like, oh, Wake Forest is going to be like scary by any means, but I think they'll absolutely get into the bowl discussion and finish like 7-5.
Yeah.
What's their
win
total?
Their win total is 6, so I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. I'm lower on them than consensus, but I mean
I also think there's no way they lose to Vanderbilt. I feel like maybe you've been on like SEC Reddit or something for too long.
My SEC bias is coming out, even though I just hate people.
Just
who
like
root
you're
for the
reading
conference as a
things
whole.
like that are people are like, oh, actually Vanderbilt's not that bad, like because the SEC's great. It's like no. Vanderbilt is bad. They're that bad, and I think Wake Forest will handle them. In my opinion, obviously,
it's my bias in liking Clark Lee as a head coach. I like Clark Lee as a head coach, so that is
just no one go. Yeah.
Look, give me all the hate that you want. We got one more ACC team to talk about, and it is Syracuse. So Syracuse is a team that I am very, very high on. They have, well, in my opinion, one of the most underrated head coaches in the sport in Dino Babers. Like, he is a good coach. Like, he is a good coach. That being said, they have Garrett Schrader as slated to be the number 1 guy. I think he's secured that spot pretty handedly. Syracuse's win total is 6.5, which was really, really kind of surprising to me. Like, I think they're a much better team than that.
See, that's where we differ clearly on Wake Forest and Syracuse, which is funny to save the best for last. But I think their heart and soul was their running back last year. He had the charisma, the personality. Yep. He was kind of like the leader on the team, and he's gone.
Sean Tucker, baby.
And again,
I'm pleased with my performance. I'm gonna miss those tweets, man.
Yeah,
I hope we see him on Sunday
tweets.
still. Like
yeah, at some point, right? With all these running backs holding out, I feel like we might see him on Sundays. But point is, like, yes, that team scares me as a Clemson fan just because they always play Clemson well. But I'm not afraid necessarily of their quarterback situation. I don't love their offensive weaponry. Their schedule's not like a cakewalk by any means. And I guess I wasn't considering the coaching because I don't know about it as much. But I have them going 5-7.
That's fair. So I This is far and above the most that we differ in terms of record. I have Syracuse at 9-3.
Yeah.
I have them beating Purdue at Purdue. I think Purdue is going to struggle. I don't know how I feel. They have Hudson Card, which may be their saving grace, but I like Syracuse.
They played last year, right? Syracuse,
yes.
Purdue, and it was like last second miracle Syracuse win,
yes,
if
like
I remember correctly.
A Hail Mary at the end of the game. The fourth
left pylon.
Yeah, it was 10-9 at the end of the third quarter. The final score was 32-29. Like, it is just an unbelievable end to that game. One of the best games of the entire season, to be very honest with you.
Yeah, honestly, I had a great time watching it, and I'm kind of expecting more of the same. It's just going to be like flip a damn coin type of game. Like, Purdue easily could have won last year. Like, Syracuse fans will admit it's like, we beat Purdue. It's like, well, that was a tie, really.
Yeah. Yeah, it was insane. But the thing about Syracuse's schedule is the back half is what I really love. After their bye week, which is in week 8, they get Virginia Tech on a Thursday night, which night game in Blacksburg may be tough, but it is after their bye. And then they get Boston College at home, Pitt at home, at Georgia Tech, and then at home against Wake Forest. Like, I would not be surprised if they went 5-0 on the way out and had themselves a pretty nice season. Their out-of-conference schedule, Colgate, Western Michigan, and Army don't really scare me outside of Purdue. Purdue's the closest one that I think, could be a
yeah, see, I feel like, I mean, Army is a different story, but like a Western Michigan, I think, could beat Syracuse. Because I kind of agree, like, the back half is where I have them getting a lot of their wins, but just not running the table back there and then dropping a couple weird ones early, Mm-hmm. That's just how I have it. But listen, I mean, predictions are never going to be accurate, but that finishes ACC for us, yeah?
So here's the deal. I know we said we were going to do Notre Dame. The problem is we ran a little long, and I don't think that it would do a service to Notre Dame fans or to ACC fans if we just kind of threw Notre Dame in at the end. So right now, as the time of this recording, we have 122 subscribers on the YouTube channel. When the channel gets to 150 subscribers, we will drop the Notre Dame video. So we will make Notre Dame a separate video in and of itself. We'll do 10, 15 minutes maybe on the Irish. I'm ready for Nick to, shit down my throat a little bit as my fandom comes out. But
you'd be surprised at what I have Notre Dame doing. But we'll save that. You guys got to subscribe, and you'll find out what I have to say.
All right, so make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel. It is the best way to support. Also, make sure I'm going to speak for myself here, Nick. I'm going to start dropping short little videos on the TikTok and Instagram, doing predictions and previews for some of these teams, so we can give people a taste. But make sure you guys follow us on TikTok and Instagram and all those platforms. I know, Nick, you've been popping off on the old TikTok, so I'm just trying to get like you, my boy.
I got to get back on the grind, yo. We're in the dead era of sports, but I'm starting to feel that football juice back into my bones.
I've had people comment on my videos and be like, I'm so glad to see you in my feed, like we're almost there. And I'm just like, fuck, yeah, we are.
Yeah, that means we're almost there. Exactly.
Yeah, we are.
And, like, I think all 3 of my fantasy group chats, like, we're chatting today. I did my draft order. I'm locked in. Like, I'm gonna start doing mock drafts. I've been looking at college football. I'm watching like highlights of old games from last year just to feel something. Yeah. I don't know if you ever do this, but like, I'll throw on like a 3.5 hour long video of a game that I never saw from like 2010, like Auburn versus West Virginia, if that even is a game. And I'll just watch the whole thing and be like, wow, this is amazing. I watched
the Bush Push like a week and a half ago just to feel something, and that
I watched that documentary. Have you seen the documentary on that?
No.
That I recommend watching. You find it on YouTube. Okay. It's like 50 minutes.
I'm in. God damn
and
it.
It's so good.
God damn it, I'm in. I have a Brady Quinn.
I'll bite.
I have a Brady Quinn green jersey like that. The last time they wore those jerseys was the Bush Push game. So it breaks my heart.
Which is crazy, yeah.
But make sure you guys give us a like and subscribe. We will see you in the next one. We are doing the Big Ten next. Big Ten preview next up. So